This afternoon, the ACLU of Idaho announced it is suing ICE along with several police agencies involved in a raid that happened in Wilder. Before we break that down, let's give you some background. According to a federal criminal complaint in February 2025, federal agents received a tip about illegal gambling tied to horse races at the arena there. In June, there was a post with a betting sheet filled out with names and large wagers. In late August, according to that complaint, an undercover agent went to a horse race at the arena and said they witnessed betting careers with backpacks full of cash. Then in September, a judge signed a warrant. Then comes in October, charges were filed, and it coincided with a public horse race. That raid caused chaos for families and spectators who were there that day, and it's now at the center of serious questions about whether those actions crossed constitutional lines, because more than just the 5 people who were arrested and charged were involved. I caught up with Kristian Lopez, who took a deep dive into the lawsuit and what the ACLU is hoping to accomplish here. Kristian, so ACLU Idaho, or the American Civil Liberties Union, they are filing a lawsuit. You've looked into this lawsuit, so who are they suing and why?
ACLU is representing these families who are suing federal, local law enforcement agencies because of the way that they were treated during the Wilder raids back in October. And so this lawsuit was just announced today, and they're representing 3 plaintiff families, but they're hoping to get class action status to be able to represent everyone who was detained that day. And we're talking hundreds, like near 400 people.
There were many violent tactics used in Wilder on October 19th, including zip tying folks for hours on end, throwing folks to the ground, firing rubber bullets. ICE and local law enforcement came in violent and aggressive from the start, and there's just no justification for that. There's no excuse for the violence that was used against children and families, and that's why we're demanding accountability for that.
What they're saying is basically they were held for hours. They weren't able to do things like use the bathroom. They weren't able to get food or water. Moms weren't able to take care of their babies. So that's some of the things that we're seeing in this lawsuit. It's the way that they were treated from the moment that these agents got to the racetrack for these 4 hours.
What entities are they suing?
So there are a lot on this lawsuit. A few of them are ICE, FBI. There's Nampa and Caldwell Police Departments in this as well, Canyon County Sheriff's Office, but there are a lot listed in this lawsuit.
They claim that a warrant was improperly used. I want you to break that down because obviously it involved a lot of people at the Wilder situation.
So basically what this lawsuit says is that this warrant was meant for the 4 or 5 people who were involved in this illegal gambling, and they said that they used this warrant to be able to come and detain these hundreds of people who weren't involved with the illegal gambling.
Also, discrimination is another claim in this as well, right?
Yeah, when you read through the lawsuit, you can see that it says basically that they were looking at people's skin tones. So they were assuming that people with lighter skin tones were U.S. citizens or had lawful status, and whereas people with darker skin, they were assuming that these people were not U.S. citizens.
A lot is involved in this lawsuit. This is also a first for ACLU Idaho, is that correct?
Yeah, they tell us that this is the first time they're suing ICE.
Another claim that's in this lawsuit, hitting quotas of people who were detained, is that right?
The lawsuit says that the agents who arrived, local and federal law enforcement officers, they had a mission to hit this quota. That is what the lawsuit is claiming.
And I just remember our coverage, you know, it was busy and kind of chaotic in those moments. What are the next steps in this?
Basically, the ACLU says that a case like this can take years to resolve. Right now, they are working to get class action status so that they can represent all the hundreds of people who were detained. We're talking about 400 people who were detained during all those hours. So they're hoping that they get class action status, and they also want a judge to rule the way that this was handled as unconstitutional.
I do want to mention this lawsuit was released at 2 o'clock today. Kristian has reached out to the parties on the other side of this lawsuit, and we are still waiting to hear back on their response.